Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lainey. I'm 15 years old and I'm pregnant. I got pregnant when I was 14 and on here I really just talk about my pregnancy journey so far. I probably will get into some other topics eventually, but yeah. And today I want to talk about how I told my parents that I was pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant in October and it's March. Oh geez, it's March now, so yeah, I'm 6 months pregnant, almost 7 months, and so this was a long time ago, so I can't exactly remember how it went, but I wanted to make this video to just share my personal experience. My personal experience was very positive, and I'm really glad that I had a positive experience, and like some of my advice for telling your parents if you are pregnant and you have to tell them that. So basically, I found out I was pregnant on a Monday and I told them that Saturday, so I told them pretty fast, and even waiting that long was really hard for me because that was a really big like source of anxiety for that like week, not even a week, it was just a few days. But it was really making me anxious to tell them because they didn't even know that I had ever like had sex before or anything like that, so they were really like unaware of this, and I didn't know how they would react because like my brothers, I have two older brothers, neither of them have children, none of my brother's friends or any of my friends have children, so I didn't really know how they would react because they've never really experienced this before, and I was just afraid of, like, I don't really know, I was afraid of everything. So telling them was really hard, but I just kind of waited until there was a time where my brothers both weren't home. So my brothers both work. They work at the same place, and on that Saturday, on that Saturday, they were both working at the same time. So it was kind of after lunch when I did tell them, and I just told them, I guess. There's really no other way to say it. I was just like, I kind of like asked them for their support in this, and I really, I told them that I really needed them to be like supportive, and I told them that I was pregnant, and I told them I didn't want that to like change how they thought of me or anything either, and we talked about it for like a really long time. We talked for like maybe even like 2 hours after I told them, and we talked about like all of my options and all the things that I could do, which are things that I was thinking about in that like week or so since I had found out. I was thinking quite a bit about it. I told them that I really did want to keep it, but I wasn't 100% sure on anything. I told them that I told my boyfriend too. He also wanted to keep it, and he wanted to be there for the baby, and stuff like that. And my mom did ask if we were like using any sort of birth control or anything like that, but we weren't, and we should have been, and I know that. And we just weren't. That's just not what happened, I guess. And yeah, so we did talk a little bit about that. She asked me if I knew how far along I was, and I wasn't positive because I hadn't been to a doctor or anything, but I did know that was pretty soon because my period was just supposed to start like a few days before I told them. Like the day that I found out, my period was supposed to start the day after that or something. So I was pretty early, and yeah, my parents were just like really supportive. They were very calm when I was telling them, which I'm very grateful for, because if they had like a really like angry or negative reaction, I probably would have been really like afraid and anxious about it, and just having them be calm was really helpful to me, and it really like made me feel a little bit like better, I guess. It made me feel, telling my parents relieved a lot of the anxiety I had, because a lot of the anxiety I had was about telling my parents, and just knowing that not only that they were going to be supportive, but just knowing that they knew was a lot better, so I didn't have to worry about them like finding out before I told them or anything, because they knew right away. And we kind of decided then that I wasn't really going to tell a whole lot of people about it, because that would have been a lot harder for me to deal with, a lot of people knowing, and that we all thought I should wait for longer to tell more people about it. And yeah, so after I did tell them, we talked for a while, and my mom and my dad both went to the store, and my mom bought another pregnancy test, and she bought some prenatal vitamins. And I did show them both the pictures of the pregnancy test that I took, but my mom really wanted to see it like for herself, which I understand. I probably would too. And that test was obviously positive, and she made me an appointment with the OBGYN after that. And yeah, that was my first appointment. We didn't even do like a pregnancy test because I'd never been there before, so it was just kind of like I don't even know, I'm sorry. It was like an introduction to the doctor or whatever there. And yeah, so it was kind of a relief to like have them be supportive and to know that they knew, really. That was the biggest thing. And the first few weeks after was just kind of awkward. It was kind of uncomfortable, and really that's unavoidable when something like this happens, and just telling them as soon as possible to get it over with is going to be the most like helpful thing you can do for yourself. But really, that was my story. My parents are been very supportive. They've been here for me, which I really appreciate, and I really do need their support right now because I just don't want to lose any sort of connections with my family or anything like that, especially at a difficult time in my life. And then moving on to like my advice for telling your parents, I would say first really think about what you're going to say, and think about what you want to do, because showing that you've thought about it, or showing that you thought about what you want to do, is showing that you're trying to be mature about this situation, because a lot of times a lot of teen parents are shown as immature, which is unfortunate because most teen parents really aren't. That's my dog, if you can hear that. He's just barking. But yeah. So you do really want to show them that you're thinking maturely and that you're thinking about what you want to do. And yeah, with my parents, we talked about our other options. I didn't want to get an abortion, but I don't think they wanted me to get one. I don't think they would have said I couldn't get one if I really did want one, because in my state you do have to have your parents consent to get an abortion as a minor, and I think in a lot of states you do, so even if you do want to get an abortion, you have to tell them. And unless it wouldn't be safe to tell them something like that, if you are getting an abortion, even if you don't need their consent, you probably should tell your parents still. But that is up to you, I guess, if you do want to tell them or you don't. But it'll just help your relationship feel more trusting, I guess, if they actually know what's going on in your life. So telling them early is important, especially if you live in a state where if you do want to get an abortion and you live in a state where you do need your parents' permission, telling them early is important because you need parental consent. You need parental consent, and you don't want to get attached to the baby if you are getting an abortion, and you don't want to miss the deadline or whatever that you can legally get an abortion by, even though in a lot of states it's around 20 weeks, but you probably don't want to wait that long. So yeah, that's my other big thing, is to make sure you tell them as soon as possible, because you don't want them to find out and then think that you weren't going to tell them and think that that they can't trust you or anything like that. You just want to keep that trust there and build more of that trust as much as possible. I would say my relationship between my parents has become a lot closer because, we've been pretty open about this whole situation, and it's brought us kind of closer because I do need them more than I felt like I did before. Obviously you need your parents, but I need them even more now. I just need a good support system, and they've really been that for me, which is really nice to have. And I know that not everyone has that, and I'm very lucky to have that, but just trying to work your part on building that trust system, and then really make sure that before you do tell your parents that you're going to be in a safe situation when you do. If you're worried that you're going to get kicked out, your parents really aren't legally allowed to kick you out if you're a minor. If you're over 18, then they technically are legally allowed to, but I'm pretty sure that, at least in my state or in all states probably, your parents can't really kick you out as a minor. So even if you're worried that they will or that they won't want you to live with them, then you should wait a little bit longer to try to figure out if there's a place you could go other than your parents' house to stay, because just having a backup plan would be very beneficial. And if your parents are the types that are gonna get violent with you or could potentially get violent with you, then I would say again, wait longer to tell them, and make sure that you'll be safe, and probably tell another relative or another adult in your life first, like someone that would know your parents pretty well, so they would help with their reaction, and you could probably kind of plan that you might be able to stay with them too if your parents are going to be really mad for a while, or they're going to be like potentially violent with you. You might want to have somebody else there that's an adult to make sure things don't get out of hand. And that's just another thing, make sure you're safe and that your well-being's not going to be compromised at all when you do tell your parents. Because I know I'm very lucky that my parents are not like that, but some parents are, and just make sure that if that's what your parents are like, you're going to be safe when you tell them. And really that's about all I have to say, I think. I can talk more if you have specific questions, I can answer them, but really this was a long time ago for me. This was like 6 months ago, and I was already trying to like not remember it because it was really hard for me, and I don't know, I just like try to forget about it a little bit almost, because I am really glad for my parents' positive reaction, which I'm super thankful for. I'm super thankful that they're supportive and stuff. It was just really like hard for me to do, to tell them. And telling your parents is probably going to be hard for you, even if you do have like a closer relationship with them. It's just not going to be very easy. But really you just need to get it over with as soon as possible. And that's what I did. And yeah, so I can answer more specific questions. If you want to DM me on Instagram, I'll leave the link to my Instagram in the description box, and you can comment questions below if you have any. And yeah, that's really my personal experience. I know that a lot of people do have more different experiences, but mine was really positive. I'm really glad that it was. And yeah, if you are going through this too, or if you have done this, and just like tell me about your experience too, because I want to like, I don't know, I just want to know what other people's was like, and I like to share my experiences because I know that not very many people do share their stories with like teen pregnancy, because there's a lot of teen pregnancy, and there are a lot of people like on YouTube and stuff. There are a lot of people on YouTube and stuff, but there's so many different kinds of stories and different ways that things happen, and I would love to hear about yours, if you would like to share it. And thank you for watching, and subscribe or like this video if you want to see more stuff from me. I'll be doing more with my pregnancy. I think I'll do weekly updates, even though those can get kind of repetitive. I think a lot of people like to see them, and it is kind of interesting to see how my body changes every week, because it's pretty subtle and I see it every day, so I don't really notice a whole lot of big changes. But yeah, so thank you for watching, and I hope that you'll have a great day, and thank you very much. Yes, bye.